There we. Oh, what the hell? I just got this thing set up, and it's already malfunctioning on me. Oh, come on. Anyways, while this is taking its sweet ass time to connect, there we go. My name is Ezekiel Schmidt. If you have not already seen the live stream before, I'm an artist that uses fucking hell. Uses YouTube as my art diary. That way I can see progress on my work as well as communicate with my homies that watch the live stream and just kind of talk about the shit that's on my mind. Why isn't this working? Okay, whatever. Oh my god, it's working on the phone that I'm using, and then it just stopped again. This thing is frustrating. Okay. But today's broadcast is brought to you by Ezekiel Schmidt Art, my website, which is link is in the description. Click on it. That lets me know that, oh man, this thing is so out of sync. I am just having so many issues today. But if you click on the link, it lets me know that someone's actually watching this shit and that they care. So I appreciate y'all that do. I have lots of really cool stuff on there. I got prints of my art. I have really cool t-shirt designs. I got puzzles, cups, prints. Ah, yes, just in time. I got so much stuff on there. But if you go to the link is ezekielschmidtart.com, it helps me out. It really encourages me. But today I'm gonna try painting some fingers. Some fingers. If I can find a brush that isn't completely destroyed. If you haven't watched this before, then you might be shocked at how I abuse and mistreat my brushes. Oh, this one's just straight up falling off. Okay, shouldn't mess with that. But I had a wonderful. Oh, there we go. It keeps on going on and off, and it's just frustrating. Never mind that. I had a wonderful Valentine's Day. I hope you all did too. Happy. What is today? Jupiter Day. So someone's like that. Just trying to figure out the. And actually, for me, Valentine's is still not even over because we got more shit that we're gonna do over the weekend. That's gonna be fun. Hmm. But today, I've been thinking about the whole idea of willpower. Like what is willpower? What is the will? Why do we have it? There are many different um, theories and ideas about what is will. Is it derived just from our physical programming? Is it something that is innate within us? Is it something that comes from without, from within? Is it a spiritual thing? Is there such thing as free will? Is one free to do what one chooses, or is everything that we do determined by social setting, upbringing, genetics, all these other factors? And so that's something that I've thought about for a long time, and a lot of people that I've talked to are kind of like just give up, and because you're not going to figure it out. And I agree with that. You're never gonna. There's so much in our universe that we'll never figure out, but I still like thinking about it because it's the mystery that drives me to go forward. It's the uh, it's the not knowing that really interests me. Because if it was something that I already knew, then I would probably not care. Or if it's something that's easy to figure out, I wouldn't care as much. I'm gonna start on this one because it'll be a little bit easier for me to figure out what I want to do. But it is such an interesting illusion, if it is one. Why is if free will the ability to choose outside of influence to actually come up with choices yourself, come up with ideas from within rather than from stimulus without, where does that come from? But if all of our choices are merely stimuli from without, why don't we recognize it as such? Why does it feel like we're making these choices? And that's what really fascinates me is the feeling of free will. And philosophers have been trying to figure this one out for a really long time. Is it possible to even discover if one has a free will or not? And you could say that suicidal tendencies, which will probably get me copyright or get me struck on YouTube for even talking about this, but as someone that has been through very long depressive episodes as a teenager, I know what those thoughts are like. And I think it's an interesting question because then it could be like, well, what about the idea of those thoughts not necessarily coming from within, but being from shitty circumstances from without? But there are also people that have a really good life, but still end up offing themselves. So, is the choice to opt out from reality? Does that mean that we have free will? Is is the say like also the same thing, the will to live? which is like something that can affect someone's outcome of their health and physical well-being, like something else. Um, when someone is healing, if they have the will to live, they really want to live, that can shift their ability to heal to being a lot quicker. It can change a percentage of like very slim chance to actually being the outcome. And Aleister Crowley talks about the idea of discovering what your true will is. Whereas in his, if I remember correctly, in his estimation, your true will is not something that you know from a bodily perspective, but it's something that you get from gnosis, from a higher self, from your holy guardian angel. Now, there are a lot of assumptions with that. That assumes that, first of all, there is a metaphysical realm. It assumes that if there is a metaphysical realm, one can get in contact with it, and that the individual is one of significance and importance in the grand scheme of things. The idea of, at least to me, it denotes a personal relationship with a deity, with deity itself, with the divine. Like every person has a, no, this is what you're here for type of thing. But if that happens, if that is true, then is there a free will? Because is it super deterministic to the point of no matter what you choose, you will fulfill your destiny? Kind of like like in the Greek tragedies, especially King Oedipus. If you read Sophocles, whoever wrote Oedipus Rex, which is, I think that's the Latin title for it, but um, he goes to a seer and asks the seer, "Hey, I need some information," and the guy's like, "You know what? You should not have this info. You don't want to know it. You don't want to know it. You know." And he tells him, "Hey, man, you're gonna fuck up. You're gonna fuck your own mother. You're gonna kill your dad, and you're gonna poke your own eyes out." And he's like, "Why would you tell me that?" And he's like, "Hey, man, that's not on me. You asked." And because of that, he freaks out, tries to move to another country, and unwittingly kills the man that was his father that he didn't know because he didn't realize that he was adopted. He ends up marrying his mother, having kids with his mother, which that whole story even goes even further and further and creates even more plays. It's freaking love reading those tragedies. Um, and then ends up stabbing his own eyes out because he can't bear to look at the kids and everything in the world anymore because of what he's done. So the idea of self-fulfilling prophecy, the idea that you cannot, the more you try to escape destiny, the more you will be bound to fulfill it. So, oh, almost stuck that in my mouth. All these different people have had different ideas of what is the ability to choose. And for me, the idea of will is one that is a metaphysical concept, but also one that I think that there is a. So if we go with the idea that there is a block universe, the Einstein block universe, we have the idea that all timelines are frozen. Time in the universe is a solid object, and then we perceive the flow of time. But time does not flow, it is solid, and everything is now. Which means that there is a super deterministic, everything is frozen in place. The only thing that is moving is consciousness. Does that mean that consciousness is what chooses what states it's aware of? If if you are conscious of the timelines, can you choose which ones you participate in? Does that become free will? I don't know. I think that's a thought that's been captivating to me for a really long time, and I have no idea how to answer it. Because most likely the question is phrased badly, but even then, there are ways that that could maybe work. I don't know. Could that be what why we perceive this illusion of movement, of time, the illusion of past, future, and present, the illusion of choice? Is choice the only real thing, and is everything else an illusion? Or is it the other way around? Is choice the illusion and everything else is real? That's what I think it all boils down to, is whether you believe that choices are real and everything else is fake, or choices are fake and everything else is real. I think that's what a lot of these theories boil down to. I am of the one where I'm of the mind that choices are real and the perception of what happens or perception of happening is the illusion rather than things are happening and the choices are the illusion. But this is only based on my own. I wouldn't even say experiences, because then that experiences could taint the idea of there even being a thing. But being a choice is experience and illusion as well. Because it all boils down to what is it to be conscious. And I know some people that have told me consciousness is an illusion. And I always find that very funny because it's like, well, why do you think that? What is consciousness? You don't even have a good working definition of consciousness. What is it to be aware? What is aware? There's more to awareness than beyond brain matter, because there are things without brains that have awareness. There is seemingly inanimate matter that seems to have awareness. Quantum physics, from what very little I understand of it, I want to be clear about that, because a lot of people throw around this quantum bullshit, and they get out of their depth when they're not physicists. And I would like to, state that I have no real training in that or clue, but from what I can tell, there are from the studies of quantum physics, their particles seem to be aware of each other. The idea of quantum entanglement, the idea that change one state of one particle, it'll another particle that is entangled. Oh my God. What the hell? There you go. Put that back on. But man, this thing is just lagging so much. I need a better internet connection for this thing. Um, I forgot where I was going now because I was interrupted by a stupid alarm. Oh, the idea is that particles can be aware of each other, that things without brains can have mind. I think that is a fascinating idea. I think there is a lot more that science has to catch up on with magic and spirituality. That esoteric and occultists, esotericists and occultists, magicians, priests, mystics have known about for a long time or have been thinking about for a long time and have come up with these ideas in terms of symbol rather than using the scientific method to verify these things. They've verified it for themselves because a lot of these things cannot be, a lot of these ideas have to they deal with the subjectivity of experience. You cannot replicate subjectivity. And I think it's where a lot of the studies of psychic phenomenon fail to truly, like, they think as though they think in materialistic logical fashion where they think if A equals B and B equals C, A is equal to B, or A is equal to C. That's not how a lot of these phenomena work. Let's say let's equivocate the idea of working with psychic phenomenon is with working with other, say like we're working with a dog. If you throw a ball, you can reasonably predict that this dog will run after that. That doesn't mean that every dog will do that. That doesn't mean that every time that you throw it that it'll do it. And that doesn't mean that if you do an experiment 100 times within like 1 week that the dog will chase it every time that week, but the next week it might not like that toy, it might not care about that toy. So if you do it again the next week, you won't be able to replicate that same experiment. And you'll be like, oh, obviously this dog does not know how to run after a ball. And that was merely an illusion. That is the problem with the way that they study psychic phenomena and try to experiment, especially since a lot of what I've noticed is people that are doing these studies, they come at it from the thought of already trying to debunk it, which is biasing the experiment. And especially if you're experimenting with something as delicate and subtle as consciousness, if you are, it's like the idea that people talk about with manifestation. So like what you create in your mind, if you already have an idea in your head, you're going to impact the results. Or the idea that um, yeah, that's essentially it. What you have in your mind will impact how it presents itself. So you are already tainting the experiment by your negative thinking. So you won't be able to scientifically investigate a phenomenon that has a will of its own. Going back to the idea of will. Why does there seem to be things that don't work within the idea of logic, that don't want to obey hard and fast rules, that don't want to do things? Why is there this idea that, or this feeling that sometimes things have a will of their own? That just because you want something to be a certain way doesn't mean that it will be that way. Maybe I'm just rambling. Maybe I'm probably out of my depth. But these are the things that I think about daily, and I think about obsessively. But I like to spend a lot of time on it because these are the questions that no one else will talk to me about. And I feel like very few people even give a shit, even though these are the most important things in life. If we don't have free will, you can relax. If you do have free will and everything's a choice, then you have to put in effort. If you're choosing what timeline that you're experiencing, why is there suffering? Why do we suffer? Why can't I just, and then all of a sudden, boom, I'm rich. Boom, I have a huge house. Boom, I have all these things. And there's people that will talk about manifesting as though it's the thing. The problem is that, going back to the idea of subjectivity, that could also just be, or coincidence. It could be coincidence that these things happen. And I guess that goes into the idea of faith, but I want to stay away from that for now because that's not what's important to me at this moment. Oh no. The hell happened with that? Oh. Oop. Okay. That's syncing up again. That's nice. So, like, if I could choose what timeline I'm living in, why can't I just drive down the street and only hit green lights? Why do I have to wait the stoplight? And you could come to the idea that opposing wills will also influence your own will, or that the body is unconscious of the needs of the true will, the higher self. Therefore, you're waiting at the stoplight because it knows that that 3 seconds of a fraction that you're waiting, you either avoid an accident or you'll be into a serendipitous event 6 years down the road just because you waited 10 extra seconds because it sets off a certain chain of events. There's that idea, but even then, that still doesn't satisfy me. It doesn't satisfy my curious mind. Because why am I not conscious of those things? Why am I not conscious of the fact that I am an interdimensional being moving in multiple? Why can't I be aware of multiple timelines at once if that is the case? If the universe is a block universe. We are experiencing all timelines all at once, but we are only aware of one timeline at a time. Why can't I be aware of all timelines at a time? Why does the physical body have limitations like that? Why is there pain? Why is there suffering? Those are the questions that really make me stop. Because, like, yes, the idea of manifestation is a very, very intriguing one and a very cool thought. But so I can see it from a more psychological perspective where what you think about drives your unconscious to pick out certain stimuli and focus on those or make you aware of them. And so I can see how that would be like an avenue for what people call manifestation. But if it is in a larger scale, I don't see how that would work. Why it would work and why not all these other things. The idea that we suffer is one that's very interesting. If I remember correctly, the Buddhist perspective is that we suffer because of attachment to impermanence or impermanent things. But even then, why is attachment to suffering? Why does suffering beyond signals of breakage, like pain, I don't equivocate suffering with physical pain because the whole purpose of physical pain is to let you know that something is broken and you need to fix it. Why is there need to be anything that needs to be fixed in the first place? Why can't it just be whole on perfect? And some people would say that it is perfect and that the suffering that we are feeling is an illusion. But if you've ever seen someone in suffering, to call what they are feeling an illusion is arrogance and discompassionate. If you've ever suffered, you know that suffering is feels very real. It is real because if you can feel it, it is real to a degree. I'm probably gonna have to stop soon. Just gonna put in some shading. Use up some of this black. I have many questions. I have no answers. But I feel like questions are more important than answers because the answers are shown to not be true. All answers are merely an approximation. They're merely they are models for us to be able to grasp onto, to, to work with. It's the old KO. Um, Actually, I think this is from the Assassins. Nothing is true. Everything is permitted. Anyways, that is the live stream. If you watched this far, drop the love emoji in the chat or in the comments. Lets me know a secret little message between me and the people that actually watch this thing. Lets me know who you are. Peace out. Oh yeah, check out. Oh, they already hit stop. Oh, that's still there. By the way, check out my website. You can check out my paintings, more of them, on my Instagram, EzekielSchmidtArt.com or EzekielSchmidtArt. Find me on all that stuff.